Hey guys! In this video, I will be going over how to play Oracle Disc Priest in Mythic Plus. The downside of Oracle is that it only does about half as much DPS as Voidweaver, but the recent Disc Priest nerfs affected Voidweaver way more, and Oracle is now being played because it has higher, more consistent throughput, and huge shielding that provides more safety for most damage events. For those of you who are used to playing Voidweaver, the main difference is that Powered Shield is now a huge contributor to your healing breakdown. Your main source of atonement healing will now come from Penance and Shadow Ward Death rather than Smites. Before I go over the gameplay, I will explain some of the important talents and abilities that affect how the spec is played. The left side of this tree is the reason why your Powered Shields are so powerful. Because of how powerful your shields are, you will now be relying on it way more to heal, and your healing will involve a lot of pre-shielding and re-shielding. Your atonements also last longer, and you pretty much have it up 100% of the time, which allows you to have more sustained healing. An additional 10% DR on pain suppression feels very nice as well. Now here is the new ability that is only used in Oracle spec, Premonition. To simplify it, Premonition basically replaces the Smite/Void Blast portion of your ramp as Voidweaver. Just to go over how to use your Premonitions real quick, basically it'll rotate between 4 different abilities. For Insight, you either use Shields or Penance. If it's more consistent rot damage, you want to use Penance. However, if it's more bursty or one-shot damage, you can use it on your Powered Shields. Piety is basically just a healing CD, so you can use it with your Mindbender or Evangelism. Solace is just another shield. Clairvoyance gives you everything, so when you're on Clairvoyance, you probably don't need any other CD to go with it, as it'll probably just be strong enough to heal the damage event on its own. You can run the 30-second Mindbender build if you are still getting used to Oracle, but in hierarchies, people are taking lenience for the 2% DR on Atonement and keeping the 1.5 minute Shadow Fiend. So basically, we don't include Pet in our basic ramp anymore, and instead we just treat it as another CD alongside Evangelism. So now that we went over the basics of the Oracle hero talent, let's get into the gameplay. A typical ramp will begin with pre-Powered Shields, Radiance, Mind Blast, Premonition, Penance, Shadow or Death, and then Powered Shield and Penance off cooldown, and weave in Smites when possible. If you are playing 30-second Mindbender, just use it before the rotation I just went over. And if you are playing 1.5 minute Shadow Fiend, use it as a CD when needed because you won't have it up every time. Depending on the amount of incoming damage, you can combo your Premonition of Insight and Piety. However, the big ramp is more common in Raid, while most damage events in M+ are more frequent but less heavy. Instead of throwing out a huge ramp every minute 30, it is typically better to spread them out so that you have a CD for every damage event. Of course, you still have your Evangelism, Ultimate Penitence, Powered Barrier, and 2 Pain Slip charges as well. So between all your premonitions and all your cooldowns, you should be able to cover all damage events if you plan out all your CDs in advance. Now I will walk through some of the hardest encounters from this season's dungeons as Oracle Disc. Alright, let's start with the double war machines in Motherlode. So I'm already pre-shielding people, putting up my flash heal DR for myself. The key here is to make sure you have your atonement up at all times. I'm not focusing on the DK as much because they can heal themselves if they're in trouble. I'm using my instant cast Radiance after I Premonition to get it out faster because I have to move while casting. Focus your defensive penances on whoever is lowest or squishiest. And you can also use your pain slips to help whoever isn't getting as much healing. Flash heal again to get my DR up. And then I pain slip the druid because I'm defensive penancing whoever's the squishiest target or the lowest target normally. I shield someone and then I use pain slip on the other person who's not getting as much spot healing. And here I know I'm dropping a barrier on some melee and they have AMZ, so I'm more focused on healing the Boomkin and myself. So between your Powered Shields, Defensive Penance, instant flash heals and paints up, you should be able to help every single person in the group. And then Premonition, instant cast Radiance once again, shield the person who's low, use my instant flash heal for DR, and pack is dead. And here is the second set of double war machines. We don't have lust for this one, but we don't have specialists, so I'm able to plant and cast more. So I'm pre-shielding, putting up my dot, pet, mind blast, shielding, fading, make sure I get the DR, premonition, radiance, and then I'm just spamming those penances, getting huge shields off of it, just rotating between shields and penances for here. Hopefully you get the hang of this by now. It's just a lot of penance and shields, and when you need a quick radiance, you can use your premonition to get that instant cast radiance out. And obviously you can use your pain slips to help out. The rotation isn't really set. As you can see, I'm not really using the typical ramp every single time. It's kind of just looking at who's low, who needs help. Usually squishy targets get more attention, so that's where I throw my powered shields and penances at. And then I'm just rotating my CDs, spreading them out pretty equally. For an encounter like the war machines, it's pretty much sustained AoE damage that lasts a while. However, if it's more bursty damage, you do want to have a more concentrated ramp. Here is a typical AoE pulsing damage event on this Voidrider here. So I'm pre-shielding and throwing out my Mind Blast early, Premonition, Pet, and setting everything up. Since this is a very short pulsing AoE damage event, I can comfortably send more stuff. Here comes another one. I use my second Premonition, Radiance, Penance, Powered Shield, Penance, and this is a very typical Oracle disc ramp. You can smite with your Will and Woe stacks, but I just like to use the Powered Shield rotation because I really like the huge shielding playstyle. And for the spider tanks, I send my pet and Mind Blast immediately. I shield. If I had more time, I would have pre-shielded, but I use my first premonition, Mind Blast again on cooldown, penance, and just use every Shadow Word Death I can get. I set Barrier as one of my first CDs so that I don't fall behind. You do want to front load your cooldowns because in the beginning there are 2 spider tanks up, but once one dies, you'll have a much easier time healing the other one by itself. I'm using penance defensively here on whoever gets the lowest. Now that I'm out of premonitions, I just send my ultimate penitence. So moral of the story is make sure you space out your premonitions, send your powered shields, penances, mind blasts on cooldown, Shadow Word Death, and keep atonements up. I didn't even use pain slips there, but if you really need to, you can use your pain slips. And then for your own DR, make sure you keep up your flash heal and your fade DR. So you should have permanent 20% DR. So here's a clip of the first boss of Floodgate. So I know the ads are not dead and the kilowatt barrier is probably going to last a while, so I just pre-shield as much as I can, flash heal to get my DR up, premonition, make sure I radiance to get atonements up, evangelism to stay ahead, but I'm still falling behind because the shield is lasting a while, and I just make sure I shield myself. So jumpstart begins and I'm kind of behind already because the shield lasted a while, but I make sure I space out my premonitions and I penance one person, shield the other, flash heal myself, and I don't even need to health pot there, but I did anyway, just in case. Alright, anyway, those are just some examples of healing intensive encounters that I just wanted to go over real quick to give you guys an idea of Oracle gameplay. I will be coming out with dungeon-specific guides as well, with the same type of format as my previous healer dungeon guides, which is basically a walkthrough and commentary on how I plan out my cooldowns. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to catch me live, I stream all of my push keys on Twitch at It's Katsa, but otherwise I will be uploading all of my timed key VODs to this channel as well. So don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I will see you guys in my next video.